When did you get together with Johnny Cash?
That was in 1966. Johnny Cash stopped by my house. We were the best of friends back on the in the Sun days. Elvis and I were close, but not as close as Johnny Cash and I were. And too, Elvis left Sun in '55, and Cash and I were there for, another year or so together, and we had the same manager, so we were always real close friends. But in 1966, he came by to visit me in Jackson, and I had had an accident with a shotgun. I had almost blew my left foot off on a hunting trip. And
seemed to be accident prone.
Yeah, I managed some good ones, son, in my day. Cash invited me to go on a 2-day tour with him down to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Atlanta, Georgia, and I'd been sitting around the house with this cast on for about 4 weeks, and I said, yeah, I'll go. And that 2 days turned into 10 years.
This was touring most of the time, was it?
Yeah, and then I did all of the prison albums. I recorded on all of his records for the 10-year period. I wrote a song called Daddy Sang Bass that he and June did. I wrote a thing called Long-Legged Guitar Picking Man that they recorded. And I must say, Brian, it was a great 10 years to be with Cash. He's a fine man. It's a beautiful family.
So you were working with him, essentially.
Right.
Did you do very much solo work of your own?
Well, I opened the Cash show.
Yeah.
I always did my little 15 or 20-minute stint. And then when John's guitar player, Luther Perkins, who incidentally wasn't any kin to me, when he died, I started playing guitar for John, and I did that for almost a year. I opened the show, and then I'd back up and play guitar with him. But then he found a guitar player in Tulsa, and then my job was just opening the show. And I usually emceed the show. I introduced people like the Statler brothers or the Carter family. And
yeah. It must have been a very satisfying 10 years.
Well, it really was. It took the pressure of having to look after a band, having to worry about bookings and all of this.
Yeah. You were part of a team.
Yeah, and I was very contented to do that. But all the while, after about 6 or 7 years with John, I'd get home, and a couple of my boys were into music. My oldest son was playing drums with a little group there. My youngest boy was playing bass, and we get together at home, and I would tell my wife, I say, these little cats they're picking good. And it started growing, the seed did, within my mind. I thought it would be wonderful someday to have my 2 sons working on the stage with me, and that's the reason that I left the Cash show 2 years ago.
Because it became possible.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're doing now?
Yeah. My little group's called the CP Express, and it consists of my 2 sons, Stan and Greg, and then I have 2 other boys. I have a guy, David C., who plays harmonica and saxophone. Dave does a lot of impersonations on the show when we have time, and then a boy, Lee McAlpin, plays piano.
And at CP Express we'll see at Wembley, is it, at the festival next month?
That's true.
Right, well, we want to take a phone call before we have another quick look at the news. If you'd like to grab the headphones over there. It's 28 minutes past 12, and Chris is calling in from Streatham. You're on the line to talk to Carl Perkins, Chris.
Hello?
Hello, yes.
Will you be doing any more concerts, apart from the one you've just mentioned, around London, across the circuit?
Yes, Chris, there's a tour in the making right now with Danny and the Juniors and Bo Diddley and myself and my group. I don't know exactly where the places will be that we're playing, but right now I understand there's 12, and there'll be probably a lot more than that before the tour starts next April.
And will you be bringing out any more singles?
Oh, yeah, that's in the plan. We already have cut, and in the can, so to speak, about 4 things. That a couple of the songs were songs that Elvis was going to record. They were being held for Elvis by Felton Jarvis, the man who records me now, and I think they're great songs.
Would I be right in guessing that one of the tracks from this album could very well be a single, Rock Around the World?
Maybe so. It will depend, on the reception of it from the public, but there's a possibility it can. In fact, it's going to be, as a matter of fact. I'd forgotten about it. Yeah, there's a 3-song single coming out March the 3rd. It's got Blue Suede Shoes and That's All Right Mama. And then on the flip side is Rock On Around the World, which is
we'll hear it for the first time a little later in the programme. That's Rock Around the World, Rock On Around the World. We'll talk quickly, though, to Kevin. Thank you, Chris, by the way. Kevin, before we have a 12:30 look at the news. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
You're talking about the rota you're doing. Is it true you're doing it with Sonny Burgess and Billy Lee Riley?
Sorry, I can't quite catch that. And Carl Perkins, could you say it again, please, Kevin?
Are you doing that concert at the rota with Sonny Burgess and Billy Lee Riley?
With Sonny Burgess and who?
Billy Lee Riley.
And when's this supposed to be?
At the rota. I don't know when.
No, well, I think the answer is no, isn't it, Carl?
That's correct. I know nothing about it. Kevin,
I think the first chance will be the Country and Western Festival, won't it?
Right, at Wembley.
Which is at the end of March.
Right, it'll be, let's see, I think I'm on the 25th or 26th. It starts the 24th, 5th, and 6th.
Well, that's one to look out for, Kevin. Thank you very much for calling in. And if you'd like to talk to Carl Perkins, 353-8111 is the telephone number. And it's 12:31. Carl Perkins is with us today on LBC. You probably, up until now, might have thought that it was only Blue Suede Shoes. It's lots of other things too, as you've learned if you've been with us since 12 o'clock. And I'm interested to know, there's a bit of controversy going on at the moment about hyping records. What we mean by that is that if you want a record to get in the charts, send somebody around from the record company to buy up copies from the stores which are used to compile the charts. And then if it gets into, the bottom part of the 30 or 40, whatever the list is, then there's a good chance it will then get a bit of airplay and could become a hit. There's a lot of soul-searching going on about how awful it all is. You must, over the years, have come in contact with all sorts of strange and corrupt practices with people trying to get their records in the charts.
Well, yeah, I have, Brian. I don't know all that much about it. I remember very well, though. This got a lot of attention in America back in the early 50s. There was a very popular disc jockey there who, as a matter of fact, is still has a big program called American Bandstand. His name is Dick Clark.
He's still doing that program.
Oh, son, and it's red hot. Yeah, he sure is. And he looks just like he did. I'm mad at him. He don't get old. But Dick was involved with the United States Senate hearing. You're probably too young to recall this, but it was called payola.
Mm-hmm.
And what
I'm not too young, by the way. Unfortunately, I'm not.
The record companies were getting to people like Dick Clark, and back in those days, there was fine automobiles involved. I don't know that Dick was. He never was convicted. And not only he, there were several other big, well-known jocks around America who were questioned. And I really think maybe it was always in the back of my mind that the government just uncovered something that was too big. I just don't know of any way that they could. I guess you could stop if a guy paid somebody with a check. You could run a record and find it. But if he wanted to give him a new suit of clothes because he liked him, I guess you could give him a suit of clothes. That's a monster thing to try to get out of this business.
So what we're talking about really here is chicken feed compared to what you're talking about.
Right.
But the question is, where does it begin? I mean, record companies always are giving away, for a start, a copy of the record to a disc jockey.
There you go.
Then they go a bit further and it may be a T-shirt or something else.
There you are.
So how far do you have to go before you think it becomes less than moral?
Well, that may be something that we all individually have to wrestle with. It would become wrong to me when the gift got more than say a little simple T-shirt, when it ran into heavy dollars, this is wrong.
Checks.
Right.
Real money.
Just saying, hey man, put my record up there somewhere where it needs to be. But yet, it has happened for a long time. This is certainly not the beginning of it, and it
won't be the end either.
No, because because it's beginning to be uncovered in the record business. I'm afraid it goes on in all walks of life.
Do you think it's wrong?
Certainly, I feel that there must be a limit on everything that could put some above others. You take a young boy with possibly a hit record, he can't get it in there if the money people are rushing in front of him. There's only time to play so many records.
You mean somebody else who's got a rotten record but a lot of money?
There you go. There you go. That's what I'm trying to say, and that has happened.
Yeah.
You know, it happened in the rock field back in the early 50s. They were taking boys who, at that time, and gosh, I hope I don't step on anybody's toes by saying this. I certainly don't mean to. But there was a certain amount of talent in boys like Fabian, but the original idea was he looked like Elvis,
right.
and he was pretty, and somebody with money said, we'll make a star out of this boy. Yeah. And it was done, you know?
Yeah, that's slightly different, isn't it? That's like the Monkees, for instance. They were manufactured as a group.
There you go.
Yeah. What would you do if you found out your record company was going a little bit too far in paying out money in trying to get your record to be a hit?
Well, everybody wants a hit record, but I wouldn't feel good inside. I would spend some hours alone in my bed at night thinking this is not completely right, and I wouldn't be happy about it.
Would you tell them to stop?
I think I certainly would, yeah.
Well, that's getting depressing again. Let's lift the tone. One of the first records, if not the first record that Elvis Presley made, was a song called That's All Right, wasn't it?
Right. That was one side of the first record. The back side of Elvis's first record was an old country song, Bill Monroe's Blue Moon of Kentucky, that Elvis kind of put the beat to.
Well, here's your new version of That's All Right, Mama.